This video will speak about what I don't like about Bruce Lee. This video is in no way intended to disrespect him in any way, but just to kind of signify my individuality and how I feel that I'm being myself and I'm not worshipping Bruce Lee, but I'm essentially admiring his work and using his legacy and his work as a way of connecting with individuals that may possibly share something in common with myself. Now, Bruce Lee will always teach to be yourself. And by worshiping Bruce Lee, that's not being yourself. And some things that I don't like about him is more of a stylistic aspect. And maybe much of it has to do with him being alive during like the 1970s and me being alive right now in 2016. It's just different times. It's over 45 years, 46 years, over 40 years, and things change. But some things that I don't like about him is, for example, his hairstyle. Like, there's no way that I'll have my hair looking like his. There's just no way. But that was a part of how he was. It was part of something unique about him. His hairstyle, and then compare that to the monk who's just bald. Thousands of people, anybody could just shave their head bald. But to have his hairstyle, you don't see that many people with that type of hairstyle. That's what made him really unique. Partly was what really unique. If he was bald, he wouldn't be as easily identifiable. I mean, he might look like, you might be able to find somebody in the Shaolin Temple that looks a little bit like Bruce Lee because everybody over there is bald. But you won't find one Shaolin monk that has hairstyle like Bruce Lee because they're not allowed to even have hair. And when people start mimicking things down to certain specifics about a person's expression, when it really has nothing to do with their combative expression or their artistic expression, within the realm of their art or their skill sets, then you know that the person is kind of taking it too far. Trying to imitate Bruce Lee is not really living up to his teachings. But being admired by him and then being yourself is the true way, according to what he's teaching and also according to the teachings of the East, the teachings of Tao, the teachings of Osho, the teachings of Buddha. And they've made a lot of movies where people are mimicking Bruce Lee and it really looks silly, even though these people might be talented within themselves, but the fact that them mimicking him so specifically makes it humorous. It makes it almost a mockery. It makes it silly and ridiculous, and just you kind of lose respect for the person. Kind of like that movie. I hadn't seen the whole movie, but I saw parts of it. That movie, The Last Dragon, with that black guy that was trying to do everything like Bruce Lee. Dress like him, have his hairstyle like him, talk like him, walk like him, scream like him. That's not being authentic to yourself, and I think that's a big problem. Another thing that I don't like about Bruce Lee is, for example, that yellow jumpsuit in the Game of Death. I wouldn't want to wear something like that. That's not my style, I wouldn't want to wear that. But he's also known for that. You see a lot of people that would wear that to kind of symbolize, hey, to try to make it seem like they're imitating Bruce. A lot of people use that yellow tracksuit, But I'm not into that, Other things I don't like about him is he was just too much on the skinny side, I wouldn't want to be that skinny. He died at around 125 pounds, and that's just too super skinny for me. I don't care how fast you are in combat. but I would have sacrificed some of that speed for more strength and a little more muscle mass. You know, I think he was 5'7.5" at 125 pounds. That's like nothing. You know, that's like an unhealthy weight. You know, it's just it's not good for your body to have too low fat. I mean, when you have like so little fat, you're just more vulnerable to illnesses, and your health is not gonna be you're not gonna be in the greatest health. And I think that it had a contribution to his early death. So I would not want my body to be so skinny. You know, even if you're ripped, you're cut, but still, just because you're cut doesn't mean that you're really strong, that you're actually strong. You could essentially be extremely weak. And I think not just Bruce Lee, but there's just a lot of bodybuilders out there that are just not truly representing health. They might look very strong, they might look ripped, they might look visually appealing, but as far as health is concerned, in my eyes, they're not truly representing real health. Other things, the way that he screams in the combat in the movies, I wouldn't be doing that. There's no way I'd be screaming like that. That's not me. And it's obvious, if I did do something like that, it'd be obviously mimicking him, and it'd just be completely silly. That was unique to him. Well, it was unique to him, that yellow tracksuit, that hairstyle, that screaming, that really skinny weight, but very muscular for his weight. Those would be the main things that I would not follow. You know, I know it's back in that time, but you know, those kung fu shoes, low quality. I wouldn't be wearing those. No way. Even the kung fu pants, those cotton pants. But I mean, it's probably they didn't have the type of technology that they have now. But those kung fu pants, I don't like those either. Those are not good quality. But I did get into the wife beaters that he wore. I did like those for a period of time. I still do. I like the way it looks. You know. But those would be mainly the things that I would absolutely not do. And it really has nothing to do with the science of the combat. You know, with I'm not even trying to mimic his way of fighting. His way of fighting is just simply what works, and I train in what works. I study what works. I study the sciences, and then my expression is the way it is because that's what works. And you'll notice a common thing between Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather Jr., like the way that they spar, the way that they fight, it's very similar because that's what works. You know, moving around, keeping things moving, getting out the way. Speed is very important. Agility is very important. You know, evading attacks is extremely important, and just being very precise, very on point. I mean, it's just a science. So you don't even have to try to be like somebody, but you end up playing similar because that is essentially what works. You know, but it's just stylistic aspects of which I would not follow. And you know, part of my individuality is living up to my own name and not saying that I'm Bruce Lee when I'm not, but I'm Freddie Lee. Living up to my own name, having my own hairstyle, having my own way of speaking. Like his way of speaking, that's another thing. Not me. You know, like there's more of a hip hop to me. And Bruce's time, maybe hip hop wasn't even popular at that time yet. or it didn't even come out yet. So he didn't have that influence. He also had more of an accent, but I don't. Not like that. So we're clearly different people. And our differences should be appreciated. If I tried to be like him exactly, try to get super skinny like him, get my hair cut like him, hairstyle like him, try to talk like him, walk like him, dress like him, I think there's a huge problem right there. That's like denying who you are to just follow somebody, carbon copy somebody, and then you lose your individuality and you're no longer unique. You're just a follower to the max, and you're following things that are not really things that are necessary to follow. This is not wisdom and guidance. This is just mimicking somebody that is successful or was successful so then you could be successful, and that's just not the way to go. Even Bruce was advising against that in his interview. You don't just find somebody successful and then just carbon copy that person. You gotta be yourself. And that's what I feel is extremely important when it comes to your own individual growth, is learning how to be yourself in these aspects. You know, even, one of his favorite philosophers was J. Krishnamurti. I mean, I like J. Krishnamurti, but mine is Osho, and we're even different in that respect as far as who we turn to, for greater guidance in what we do, you know. Um, but I just wanted to indicate that, to kind of let people know that I'm not the same type of person out there who's imitating Bruce, who's worshiping Bruce, who's just basically regurgitating what Bruce has said and say Bruce is right just because he's Bruce. No, it's like I discover my own truths. I come about my own truths, and I'm just using Bruce as kind of as somebody to relate to, so I can relate to the people out there, to somebody that they know. And if I'm saying something and then my ideas are backed by Bruce's ideas, then it just makes my ideas even stronger, because I'm not the only one saying it. Bruce was saying it too. You know, and that's kind of how I feel about it. I think there's a big difference between people that worship Bruce, opposed to people who are living their own way, sharing their own path, but at the same time giving respect to Bruce and keeping his spirit alive. So then the people that have been inspired by Bruce now has somebody else to become inspired by as well, that is a different person, who's not the same person but is a different person. It's just like there's a Bruce Lee, but then there's also a Jet Li, and then there's also a Donnie Yen, and then there's also a Jackie Chan. They're all different people, and with different expressions. They're all different, and now it allows the person to be influenced by different works, different arts, opposed to all those carbon copy people who are just mimicking Bruce without their own individual expression. They're always gonna fall short because they will never be Bruce. And by trying to mimic him, you've already notified the public that you're not even worth following, because you're a false representation of the real, because you're not authentic to yourself, but yet you're not even Bruce Lee either. So then what are you? What are you here for? What purpose do you have? You're not the real Bruce Lee, but then you're not the real you either. What are you? You're just a fake person that has just become a carbon copy. Not even a carbon copy, because it's a impurified carbon copy. It's a distorted copy of the original, which is essentially useless. A carbon copy is something where it's identical. You know, you have a movie, you burn the movie, and it's the same movie. But what's going on is you got somebody who's mimicking Bruce, pretending to be Bruce, but then he's falling very short of Bruce, and then he becomes useless. It's like you try to burn a movie, but it only burned 1/3 of the movie, or you burn the movie and then the quality is not there. Everything's all fuzzy and you can't see anything, you can't hear anything. It's a corrupted copy of the movie that you attempted to burn, but it didn't burn properly. So I think that's extremely important for people that admire Bruce, is to not mimic him, not to worship him, but to learn from him, in which to be yourself and to be authentic. And I feel that that's what I'm representing. And when I make these statements about MMA, it's coming from me, it's coming from my heart. It's not coming from Bruce, because Bruce wasn't even here when MMA came about. These are my statements. You know, these are my ideas. But the thing is, people don't know me. And they'll be, you know, they have a hard time relating to people that they don't know. But what I'm just letting people know is that a lot of what I express has been inspired by Bruce. And you may notice a lot of similarities. So if you're drawn to Bruce, then there's a chance that you might be drawn to me. And that's how we can make that connection with one another, in which to support one another towards our development and our path in the true way of the martial arts.